I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go. Welcome. Thank you all so much for joining. Welcome to all the new subscribers. I'm Dr. Barry. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I like covering cases and breaking down what we can learn from a case. This is cross-examination, and prior to cross-examination, there was a ruling. The state wanted to ask questions about the defendant having a history. So there are things that aren't going to come into this trial. So there are some prior acts that prejudice that could potentially cause issue for appeal. And the judge has ruled that prior looking in monitoring of his ex-wife's, so his first wife, his ex-wife's communications over an iPad, that will not come in. And there was also allegations by Arielle that he threatened to tell people about the affair if she was not intimate with him, that there was some intimacy coercion happening, and that is not going to come in. Okay. And so, and then just a bit of a squirrel moment. So a side note, I did see Grizzly True Crime covered that Letitia Stout is going to get a new trial. There was one of the jurors is related to somebody that works at the prosecutor's office, something like that. There's a situation like that where that entire conviction has been overturned and she is going to get a new trial. One of my highest watched videos is my reaction to Dr. Lewis's testimony. So if you go to my live videos and sort it by views, because that video was probably 2 or 3 years ago, that was, and I did not mean for that video to do so well. It was just so painful to watch Dr. Lewis's testimony. I don't know if she is going to claim dissociative identity disorder again, if she is going to claim NGRI, or if she's just, I don't know what she's going to do, but that's a whole other situation. So, I am aware of what his ex-wife does for a living. Kathy from Gossip Rumor and Innuendo has talked about that quite a bit. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and hop right into cross-examination. Let's go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On March 24th, 2025, you were married to Arielle Konig, correct, Dr. Konig?
Yes.
You and Arielle got married in 2018, is that right?
Yes.
You dated for 1 or 2 years before getting married, correct?
Yes.
When you met Arielle, you were working as an anesthesiologist in Pittsburgh, right?
Yes.
And yesterday you described what anesthesiology is, correct?
Yes.
You used very technical terms, right?
Yes.
Maybe the more plain term is that you are the one who puts people to sleep before an operation, correct?
That's what people typically call it. Yes.
It's actually sleep, right?
It's not actually sleep, right?
But you're the one that essentially puts them out, and then after the operation, they wake up again, right?
Yeah. That's part
Anesthesiology
of
is a
it.
very specialized field of medicine, correct?
Yes.
You decide.
Could you just
His
put a
mic.
closer and keep your voice up?
Yeah, his mic. It's true. Thank you, defense. That was actually helpful.
You decide how much of each anesthesia drug to give a patient, correct?
Yes.
You give too little of the drug, and it's possible the patient could wake up during the surgery, right?
Yes.
You give too much, and the patient could never wake up at all. Is that right?
That's correct.
Ultimately, you're the one with that control, right?
Yes.
Now, you first became an anesthesiologist in Pittsburgh, again, right?
Yes.
And you testified yesterday that money is the main reason you moved to Pittsburgh, correct?
No.
Objection misstates his testimony. Overall, answer sense.
He said no.
Sorry. You testified that the cost of living in Pittsburgh was very important to you, correct?
Yes.
And money is very important to you, right?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Your testimony today is that money is not important to you,
Not very important to me.
not very important.
Some-
Okay. Now, while you were dating Arielle in Pittsburgh and eventually married to her, right?
Yes,
Okay. She went to graduate school while you guys were in Pittsburgh, correct?
that's right.
And she ended up working in the nuclear engineering field, correct?
She was working in the field when I met her.
And then near the end of 2022, you and Arielle decide to move to Oahu, right?
To Maui.
I'm sorry, Maui. And you moved and you closed on a house at 19 Pu'uehu Place on December 14th, 2022. Is that right?
I don't remember the exact date, but it was around that time, yeah.
The sale price of that house was $1.5 million, correct?
That's right.
And together you and Arielle had a down payment of $300,000, correct?
That's right.
And when you moved to Maui, you had a job lined up, right?
Yes,
That was at TAMG, correct?
yes,
And TAMG is a group of anesthesiologists that provide services to all the different hospitals on Maui, correct?
the one hospital and surgery centers and some outpatient clinics.
And actually on the island of Maui, TAMG is the only provider of anesthesia services, correct?
We're the only big group of anesthesiologists. There's some independent anesthesiologists and I believe one CRNA that flies over to sometimes work at a plastic surgery outpatient center.
TAMG is the biggest group in town, right?
Yes,
And because of that, TAMG can set the prices, right?
no, we just went through contract renegotiation with the hospital, and we had to use research, based on salaries across the United States in comparable locations.
And that salary got you to your salary was then end up being between $500,000 and $6,000 per year. $500,000 and $600,000 per year, correct?
I never got to work under that contract for a full year. When I moved there, we were making between $300,000 and $400,000 a year.
Okay, so you were making $300,000 to $400,000 a year while you were after you moved to Maui from January 2023 to December 2024.
Yes, that's correct.
And Arielle found a contract position working remotely for a company called TerraPower. Is that right?
Yes,
Arielle made less than $200,000 per year, correct?
yes,
You made substantially more money than Arielle, right?
yes,
Okay. On March 24th, 2025, you and Arielle came to, or were on Oahu, correct?
yes,
And you came to Oahu because it was Arielle's birthday weekend. Is that right?
that's right.
And Arielle's birthday is actually March 24th, right?
Yes,
You bought the airline tickets for the trip, correct?
yes,
And of course, you bought round trip tickets, right?
yes,
So you were scheduled to go back to Maui on March 25th, 2025, correct?
yes,
It was a quick trip.
You booked the hotel for the weekend trip, correct?
I did.
You sent spa information to Arielle before the trip, right?
Yes,
And then you booked the spa, correct?
yes,
You did not send Arielle electronically any information about the Palipuka hike, isn't that correct?
I don't think I did.
We're going to go back in time a little bit, Dr. Konig. So yesterday you testified that you started to become suspicious of Arielle in October 2024. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Some red flag behavior in like late September probably, but it was probably mostly in October when I got really suspicious.
Well, you testified yesterday that you only became suspicious in October after you heard a phone call. Isn't that right?
Specifically about Jeff Miller. But I was suspicious about her phone behavior prior to that Kauai trip in October.
And once you became suspicious, you went into what you called detective mode. Is that right?
Eventually.
Detective mode for you started with logging into Arielle's WhatsApp account, correct?
No. Detective mode started with me asking her why she's on her phone all the time.
And you logged into Arielle's WhatsApp account, correct?
Eventually.
And you would watch the messages every day, right?
I watched them for 48 hours.
You watched these messages as they were being sent, correct?
Some of them if I was at the computer when they arrived.
And the laptop that we've all seen in this so far, States Exhibit 240, I'll put it up on the screen.
Is in evidence.
Yeah. Okay. Dr. Konig, this is your laptop, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right. I like how Paul says incoming Paul voice. So I don't know why he's able to have the large metal water bottle. The comments from the last video, a lot of people talked about that. So he is currently incarcerated. I think his lawyer is providing that. Hawaii sometimes does a really good job with like conservation. So I don't know, because there are some places where it's harder, like they don't have plastic. So this could be an environmentally conscious thing where he's provided with that. I'm guessing his lawyer doesn't think he would be harmful towards him. Taylor Shabusiness would probably not even get a plastic water bottle. She stays with a spit mask and everything, because she can become very volatile. I don't think they're concerned about him being volatile, but I have no clue why he's able to have a metal water bottle, but he does not take that back to custody with him. That likely stays with the lawyer, I'm guessing.
So you logged into Arielle's WhatsApp from this laptop, correct?
Yes.
And you saw the messages between Jeff Miller and your wife, correct?
I did.
You downloaded those messages, correct?
Yes. Not from the laptop. I downloaded the messages from her phone, and then I saved some screenshots on the laptop.
We're going to publish now States 118, which is already in evidence. Okay, we have States 118 on the screen, Doctor. This is an email you sent to Bryant Bunting, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and the first attachment to this email is called Screen Time and Deleted Messages, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to go to page 2. This is the first page of that Word document, right?
Yes.
This is the Word document you created while in detective mode, right?
Yes.
And in this document, that picture at the top, and I'll zoom in, that's the screen of Arielle's phone, correct?
Yes.
You logged into Arielle's phone to take that picture, correct?
Yes.
You entered the passcode into her phone, right?
Yes.
You opened the application to show the screen time, right?
Yes.
And then you took this photo.
Yes, I did.
I don't think it's a shame
And
to
then
that.
you wrote your thoughts underneath. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I took notes.
You took notes as you would do in detective mode, right?
Yeah.
Your first notes were calculating the number of hours she spent on the WhatsApp app, correct?
Yes.
You calculated it and you did some division based on how many work days there were, right?
I did.
For real.
And then you speculated about phone calls, correct?
Yes.
Move on to page 3. Page 3 of this shows other screenshots you took of Arielle's phone, correct?
Yes.
And this is other screenshots of every app that she was using, correct?
I wish it was bigger. I can't see it.
The Screen Time app keeps track of all of the apps that you use, and I think there's probably more, but I just did the first 3 pages.
You didn't stop with WhatsApp, did you?
No.
You looked into her.
All right. So I want to kind of take a look at this a little bit. So we have Spotify at 7, almost 8 hours of Spotify, 5 hours of Snapchat, 2 hours of Facebook. I'm so sorry, Ariel. Like, I hope nobody ever gets to see my screenshots of it's a lot of Netflix, Viki, which is like a Korean and Chinese, like it has a bunch of dramas that are that have subtitles. YouTube, what else would be on mine? YouTube, a little bit of TikTok, not too much. A little bit of Instagram, a little bit more Facebook. Okay, I don't see WhatsApp on this one. Okay, let's press play.
Entire phone, correct?
No, I looked it down to 3 pages of the screen time app.
You were in detective mode and you didn't look through her actual text messages?
I did look at the text message threads on her phone.
You looked at the text message threads on her phone, right?
I did not look through all of her text messages. I opened the texting app to see if there's anything that looked suspicious there. There wasn't, but really I went.
The sad thing, I don't think he sees a problem with this. I don't think he does. And I think the state is trying to get at how controlling he is. I think the state is trying to show the jury kind of the real him, the person they believe showed up at that hike. I think they're trying to break through his facade, and he's trying to minimize it, in my opinion.
Straight to WhatsApp because that was the most used application.
You looked through her emails, correct?
Not at this time. I did end up looking through her emails later, mostly with her consent. Like as I'm seeing her on her phone and she's writing an email, I'll be like, "Hey, who are you emailing? Can I see?" And then she'll show it to me.
This was after then you confronted her, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Now let's focus on this part of the detective mode for now. You looked at her phone calls, correct?
I looked at the phone calls that she made through WhatsApp. I didn't actually look at the phone calls on the phone.
Okay. So you're suspicious of your wife for
Didn't look
2
at
months already, right? When you do
Yes.
this.
Yes.
And you looked through her WhatsApp, correct?
Yes.
You don't look through all of her text messages, correct?
Correct.
And you don't look at her phone calls, right?
Right.
I believe that. I don't believe that. I don't think it's helping. Same.
These are photographs of the screen of the phone, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you didn't take a screenshot and send it to yourself, right?
Not of this. No.
Not for these photos.
Mm-mm.
Arielle didn't know you were taking these photos, isn't that right?
No.
They didn't show the photos.
Okay. We're going to move on to page 4 of this document. Oh. I'm sorry. We're going to move on to page 6 of this document. Now, actually, I'm sorry. We're going to just go to page 4. At the top of this document, this is still the Word document that we were talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay. It is called, again, screen time and deleted messages, right?
Yes.
So most of the page we're looking at is what you copied and pasted or downloaded from WhatsApp, correct?
Yes.
But the very top of this page says deleted messages from Sunday 12/1, parentheses, all deleted, right?
Yes.
You wrote that part.
I wrote
correct?
that part. Yep.
Okay. So you were able to see and record all the deleted messages from Sunday, December 1st, 2024, correct?
Yes.
And you read these messages, right?
Yes, I did.
You read them and starts out, we'll go for the first couple section. Mr. Miller says, good morning, right?
Yes.
He says, I hope you're getting some good sleep, right?
Yes.
And he talks about his sleep, correct?
Yes.
Then Arielle says, good morning, right?
Yes.
There's nothing sexual in these messages, is there, Dr. Konig?
No.
This is two people saying good morning to each other, right?
Yep.
And you were upset because in your mind, this is what spouses do, right?
Say good morning. I wasn't upset that they were saying good morning to each other. I was upset about the entire relationship that they had.
You're upset that they were talking at all like this.
Not just about good morning, about the whole thing.
About the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah.
You talked about that they were sending each other links for music, right?
I did talk about that.
And those links are actually contained later on in this document, correct?
They were in earlier conversations. Can't remember where they are in the document.
We moved on now to page 5 of States 118. Actually, we'll just keep moving forward. Okay, so we're on page 6 now, and you included a screenshot of the WhatsApp now, correct?
Yes.
And part of the screenshot, we'll zoom in,
This is very vanilla.
is your note at the very top says these are deleted messages from Tuesday 12/3, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so far at this point in detective mode, you've looked at messages from 12/1, correct?
Yes.
You've also looked at messages from 12/2, correct?
Yes.
And now you're on to December 3rd, right?
That's right.
And December 3rd is the day that Arielle is going to San Luis Obispo, correct?
Yeah, she was actually not arriving until the next day, but she was leaving Maui on that day.
And then she had a layover in Arizona, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so there was a really great question. Becky RN asks, would he have been so upset if it was a woman? I don't think so, but I think he knows if his wife was bisexual, then maybe. But because she probably had regular communication with her best friend Gianna. And so I think it was the fact it was a man. I think that made it worse for him. And I think his ego is incredibly fragile. Just my own personal thoughts and opinion based on his testimony and observations. And so not a diagnosis, but just a general observation. His ego seems extremely fragile. And I admit that like I would be upset if my husband was messaging somebody else on a regular basis, disconnecting from me and connecting with somebody else. I would be upset by that. I would not demand that my spouse never have contact with that person one-on-one ever again. I wouldn't demand that they like never go on a trip with that person again. I wouldn't demand that my spouse quit their job, like, because there was a way to set boundaries and to possibly be able to move forward without there having to be all of this. But the only way for her to regain his trust was for him to be in control. My own personal thoughts. He does come across incredibly jealous. And I don't know if anything was ever going to be enough. I mentioned, I talked with my mom that there seems to be this root of bitterness and betrayal that turned into, from the allegations of the state, it turned into homicidal ideation. It turned into this contempt in a way that became potentially deadly. And I don't think he saw anything he could do. Like the only way for him to be okay was if she changed her behavior, and she wouldn't change her behavior. And so, and the jury is not going to know about him demanding intimacy from her. The jury is not going to know that. It just makes him look really, really bad. There are people that is, at least in the comments, I've seen some people kind of say that they believe him. His direct examination was bad. I just think this is going to get worse. I think this is going to get bad. My own personal thoughts.
And in this photo we're looking at here, Arielle is texting Jeff Miller about being on the plane and getting ready to go to sleep, correct?
Yeah, that's one of the messages that's on there. So this is just the messages that were not deleted by the end of the day that day. So there's a lot more messages that happened during the day, but she had deleted them in different parts of the day. But yeah, the last message on this page says, "I hope packing went well. I'm on the plane and ready to sleep."
All right.
Seems very just like friendly.
And then your notes about what you think about these messages continue onto the next page, correct?
Not really what I think about it. So I was keeping notes of when I took the screenshots and what I was seeing at the time, because the way the screenshots work on the computer is that I have to basically copy and paste the screenshot, and that takes some time. So sometimes in between me copying the page and pasting it into the Word document or somewhere else and saving it and going back, she had already deleted other messages. And so I would just take notes and say, like, this message was sent before I could screenshot it, or and then sometimes she would delete some of the messages, and then later she would go back and delete more, and so it created a very confusing bunch of screenshots that I had. And so I took notes to kind of help myself piece it back together at a later time.
Explains so much.
If that makes sense.
Sure.
Not really my thoughts about what I was thinking about the screenshots at the time. Do you understand? I was just taking notes of like the order in which that they came in, and so I can make sense of the screenshots.
The more he talks, the worse it gets
later.
And naturally, you were upset as you did this, right?
I had a lot of different feelings at the time. Suspicious and sad, and not happy.
Suspicious, sad, not happy, upset?
Yeah, that's probably fair to say.
Okay.
He smirks at weird points, and it could be an anxious smirk, but I think it was more of a, I'm going to let you have that one smirk. I don't know. Because him laughing a little when talking about the testicles, I'm so sorry. Hopefully I don't get in trouble with YouTube this early in the video. But the number of times him and his defense attorney said that word yesterday, hopefully we are not going to turn it into a drinking game today. I was not prepared. Nobody prepared me for that. But sometimes he smirks, and we're just observing behavior and just talking about what we're seeing. Let's go.
All right, we're going to take this exhibit down. And again, this exhibit you actually emailed to a Mr. Bunting, correct?
Yes.
I don't know who that is.
And Mr. Bunting was at the time your best friend, right?
Yes.
And
one of my best friends. Yeah.
Mr. Bunting was married to a woman named Gianna, correct?
Gianna. It's spelled with a D, but she's Brazilian.
Okay. So he was married to a woman pronounced Gianna, correct?
That's correct.
And Gianna was Arielle's best friend, right?
One of her best friends, yeah.
So you send this email to Bryant Bunting on December 4th, 2024 at 3:33 p.m., correct?
Yes.
And that's before you leave for this trip, correct?
Yes.
And this is a trip that's going to include you, Arielle, Bryant, and Gianna, correct?
Yes.
You also had 2 other attachments to Mr. Bunting, correct?
I don't remember if you could show me.
All right, we'll publish page 1 of this exhibit again.
Sorry, what number exhibit?
This is States 118. Okay, and we'll zoom in on the middle of the page to attachment names. There were 3 attachments to this email, correct?
Yes.
Okay, the first was screen time and deleted messages, right?
Yes.
And that's the document that we've gone through so far, correct?
Yes.
The second document is some saved chats with pictures, correct?
Yes.
And you reviewed those chats, right?
Yes.
And you reviewed the pictures, correct?
Yes.
Nothing sexual in those chats, right?
No.
Nothing sexual in those pictures, correct?
No.
And the last file is chat.txt, is that right?
Yes.
And this is what you actually download from WhatsApp, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so when you download a chat from WhatsApp, you get a file with a TXT, right?
That's correct.
Text. It's text.
Now, you said already that you were upset when you were reading these messages, correct?
Yes.
You were upset that she was talking about her personal life with another person, correct?
Yes.
You're upset that she was talking about her kids, right?
Oh, with him, with somebody else.
Yes.
You're upset that she was talking about the kids putting stuff up on the Christmas tree, right?
Yeah. I mean, in the context of the whole conversation. Yeah. I was upset about that.
And you're upset that your wife was keeping these messages secret from you, correct?
Yes.
So before you confronted Arielle, you emailed these documents to your friend Brian, correct?
That's right.
And you actually emailed these documents to Bryant, before you even got on the plane. Is that right?
That's right.
So before you even talked to Arielle about this at all, you were already telling Bryant. Is that right?
That's right.
You didn't give Arielle a chance to explain herself about these, correct?
Not before I talked to Bryant that day, no.
And you also told Deanna, correct?
I did tell Gianna the next day that I was suspicious that she's having an affair.
So you told Arielle's best friend about your suspicions before you told Arielle, correct?
A few minutes before, yes.
You did that because you wanted Gianna and Bryant on your side, correct?
That's not correct.
You wanted Arielle's best friend to hear about this emotional affair from you, right?
Sir,
No, that's not correct.
I think he did.
You didn't want Gianna to hear about this from Arielle, correct?
That's not true.
Well, you told Gianna.
So him telling her best friend first muted her voice. Because let's say her best friend had no idea that there was this type of friendship. That could have, finding out from the husband. Now, I would have thought that was weird. So if I'm out to dinner with my best friend and her husband, with my husband, and my friend gets up to go to the bathroom and the husband says she's having an affair, I would be like, I would be so confused. Like I would, and if it was true, it wouldn't hurt my relationship with my friend, but I would be mad at, especially if I found out he told me before he told her, I would be friend run. Like that is a really, really bad sign. This relationship is not going to go well. I don't know if this is savable. If that's how you handle it, the way you handle it is to run because, and I'll say it again. So what a smear campaign is, all right? So if you have never heard of a smear campaign, okay, it is a deliberate, often coordinated effort to destroy a person's reputation through character assassination. And it's often to isolate the target, control the narrative, and these attacks often rely on triangulation. I want your friend on my side and the two of us looking at you like, how could you? So it's to get people on your side. And it's often to kind of, the goal is often to ruin the other person. And to also, it makes him the victim in this situation, in my opinion. Dude, I just can't. We're going to press play.
First, isn't that right?
That's right.
You wanted Gianna and Bryant to judge Arielle, correct?
That's not true.
You wanted to isolate Arielle from her best friend, isn't that right?
That's absolutely not true.
So after you tell your best friend and Arielle's best friend about this, that's when you actually confront Arielle, correct?
That's correct.
And you're upset, right?
That's not the primary feeling at the time. I was feeling a lot of other feelings, but
Like what?
I was also upset.
You're mad, right?
I was not mad.
You were not mad
Doesn't like
when
to
you
admit to
confronted
being
your
mad.
wife about these messages.
I don't know what it is with him in anger. He does not like to admit that he was angry. Because sometimes he'll say upset. Because when his lawyer asked if he was, I forgot what word the lawyer, I think the lawyer said angry. He does not want to admit that he's angry. But all of his body language, like to me, I'm getting anger and contempt, rage. Exactly, Lizbeth. That's what I'm getting. And he's like, no, I wasn't angry. But I think he doesn't want to come off as an angry person because maybe he thinks the jury will think, oh, an angry person might try to do this to their, like, if I'm not an angry person, I could never do this unless I was fighting for my life. I think that's the narrative he's trying to play. But it looks bad because of course he was angry. Anger is not the problem. The problem is trying to throw your wife off a cliff. That's the problem. You can be angry and not harm someone. You can be angry and have an adult conversation. You can be angry and file for divorce. You can be angry and go to therapy. Anger is not the problem, sir. The problem is like the allegation. But okay, we'll keep it
I was
going.
upset.
Okay. It's natural to be mad in this sort of situation, isn't it?
You could be.
And in this confrontation, you called Arielle a lying bitch, right?
Ooh.
I did call that at some point, not in the beginning of the disclosure.
You called her a whore, right?
I did call her a whore at some point. Again, I think within like the first 24 hours and not during the initial disclosure.
And after this all came out, after you confronted Arielle, called her a lying bitch, called her a whore, you wanted her to move out of the house. Is that right?
That's right.
All right, I'm speeding him up to 1.25. I will slow it down if it starts to get too fast. This attorney's pace, I think, is good, where I think we can speed it up a little bit. Let's go.
You used an example yesterday where you talked about somebody else moving out for about 3 months and staying in a hotel, correct?
That's right.
And that's what you wanted Arielle to do, right?
Thank you for saying someone.
No.
You just said you wanted Arielle to move out of the house. Isn't that right?
Yeah, we just asked if I wanted her to specifically move into a hotel for 3 months. I had no. I did not want her to move out of the house for 3 months and go live in a hotel.
You just wanted her out.
I preferred to have her move out while we're dealing with the aftermath of her having an affair.
And Arielle didn't want to move out of the house. Is that right?
We both didn't want her to move out of the house. We both decided that together after talking about it.
You just said just a minute ago that you want.
That makes him sound more controlling to me. That makes, oh, we agreed. But like, what if you wanted her to move out and she didn't want to? How would y'all resolve that conflict? How would y'all handle that?
Wanted her to move out, right?
That was my preference in the beginning. And then we decided that we're not going to do that. There's
Okay.
plenty of examples of people holding contradictory beliefs.
Sure.
And then you talk about it and think about it and figure out which way you're going to go.
He might have learned that in therapy. Got to be careful when you send certain people to therapy. He might have. So we call that a dialectic, but he's using it the wrong way, in my personal thoughts.
Dr. Konig, Arielle's children were 4 years old and 18 months old at the time that you wanted her to move out. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
No mother would want to move out of the house with their kids that age, would they?
I wouldn't think so.
But that's what you wanted, right?
I wanted her to move out of the house for us to deal with the affair, and I didn't want her to move out of the house and harm her children. I wanted both.
Now, another thing that you wanted is we wanted Arielle to quit her job, right?
That's right.
And this is the remote worker job that she was able to find on Maui, correct?
Yes,
There are no nuclear power plants on Maui, right?
that's correct.
So if Arielle wanted to stay in her career and advance her career, she had to work remotely, right?
That's correct.
If you were to stay on Maui, right?
Yes.
And once Arielle quit her job, as was your plan, she would have been 100% dependent on you and your salary, correct?
Did he watch my video? Did he see my video from yesterday?
She would be dependent on our assets, which were all shared. We had a shared savings account. We had a home that was shared. We had vehicles that were shared. We had food in the house that's shared. I mean, we had a lot of things in the house, and they were all shared. We would lose her income as a family for a short period of time. She has a very good resume. She would be able to get a job, probably within a few months. But if it took a few months, we were prepared for that.
When Arielle quit her job, as was your plan, you would be the only breadwinner, correct?
Yes.
I would have the only one with the paycheck coming in while she didn't have a job. That is correct.
She would be dependent on you and your goodwill to keep a roof over her kids' heads, right?
Yes.
No,
She'll be dependent on you and your paycheck to keep her kids fed, right?
no,
Yes. How's that no?
You wanted Arielle to get her career, correct?
no.
You wanted to make sure Arielle never had contact with Jeffrey Miller again, right?
That was my strong preference, for her to not have contact with Mr. Miller ever again.
And in order to do that,
Okay, a lot of people blame his lawyer, but I think he is a difficult defendant. I think he's my personal thoughts, I think he's a difficult client. He could have just said yes. Like, he gives so many words when yes would do. Like, he could just say yes. Because his lawyer tried to feed him responses that could be like a little bit, but he couldn't even take that from his own lawyer. So I knew there was no way he was just going to say yes to what the state said. He couldn't even do that with his own lawyer, where they prepared. And it makes him come off controlling to me. That's how I feel. I don't know.
you wanted access to Arielle's phone at all times. Is that
That is
right?
absolutely not correct.
You actually had Arielle's phone in December 2024, isn't that right?
For a lot of it.
I wouldn't say that. Like, her phone, at many points in time, I had her phone in my hand. I would not characterize it the way you just did.
That
And you
sounds-
monitored her communications in December 2024 after you confronted her, isn't that right?
I, on several occasions, asked to see who she was communicating with, and she would show me. And the only time that I monitored her communications was for 48 hours when I was watching the WhatsApp messages. And most of those I was watching on my computer, not on her phone.
So today you're saying you were only monitoring her communications a little bit, right?
I don't know what you mean by a little bit. I just described to you how I was monitoring her communications.
Sounds like a lot.
Yesterday you testified about what you thought Arielle needed to do, isn't that right?
That's correct.
You testified that she needed to, quote, proactively give up privacy, correct?
Yes,
And you also said that she needed to be okay with giving up her privacy. Is that right?
that's right.
That's what you wanted, right?
That's what I wanted.
She didn't end up doing that, did she?
No.
That's your
Although she did do it. She did do it initially. She did it in San Luis Obispo, and she did it for a very short period of time in Maui, and then sporadically again in December. And honestly, she changed her behavior. So in January, February, March, she was not like, I didn't feel like she was hiding her phone from me anymore. I didn't feel, and I knew her passcode hadn't changed. So she was doing a lot of those things.
You knew her passcode hadn't changed, right? You just said that.
That's right.
The only way to know that is by testing it, right?
No, you could also see them put in their passcode. And when somebody's sitting next to you and they're not hiding their phone, you can easily see who they're writing, what they're saying. You can easily see their passcode. And if somebody's not worried about sharing the passcode with the person sitting next to them, you're basically showing it to them, and that's what's going on.
So you watched what Arielle was doing on her phone in person, right?
Yes.
Now, another thing you mentioned yesterday is that you believe the cheating spouse needs to put in the work, right?
That's what he
That's
said.
not what I said.
Oh,
You testified that the cheating spouse needs to put in the work, right? You said that.
I wouldn't characterize it like that. I would not say the work.
he's changing
The
his
way you're
own
making
one.
it sound is like there's only one work to be done. The work that needs to be done to heal a relationship after any kind of issue like this involves both parties. And I was talking specifically about the part that the cheating spouse has to commit to doing. I was not saying that was the only work that needed to be done, like you're implying.
So what was the work he was doing? I'm very interested, sir. I hope the state asks. So what were you doing? Because, okay, I do not work with couples. I can. So I was trained in couples therapy. I did marriage therapy research. I was trained in a specific type of couples therapy. I like emotion focused therapy, EFT. I think it's really cool. Couples are exhausting. I just can't. And as a good couples therapist, you have to stay neutral. You can't take sides, and I prefer individual work. And then you go get a couples therapist. You find somebody else that likes this work, that wants this headache. Nope, I don't. I work with families. I work with children. I work with adults one-on-one. I do bring spouses in for like 1 or 2 times if we're dealing with maybe helping a spouse understand my client's diagnosis or something, but it's not ongoing. I don't like it. But a good couples therapist would have him try to see about monitoring less. Because I think their first couples therapy session was December 27th, he said. It was December 27th or December 26th. He found out about the affair in early December, and they were in couples therapy I'm guessing the couples therapist, because I think the couples therapist said, stop talking about the affair at home. Let's just deal with things here. And I think the couples therapist tried to help them set some boundaries. How do they get back into their life? I do think that the issue around him threatening to tell their friends if she didn't agree to have sex with him on demand, I think that came up in couples therapy, but we're not going to get to that. Jury is not going to hear that, which is okay. Okay. We know that. It could cause an appellate issue if the judge allowed that in, and an appellate and like the higher court found that that was too prejudicial to the client, and so to the defendant, and so it is what it is. But this is, dude, we're gonna keep it going.
Dr. Konig, if we could not go into anything implied, I'm just asking you a question. Okay, I'm asking you what you said.
Your Honor, he's trying to answer the questions.
No, he's not.
Allowed to answer.
It's non-responsive.
But that was not.
It's non-responsive.
He's asking questions. He's answering.
He's not.
My objection is to him reprimanding the witness when all he's doing is answering the question.
He's not answering the
That's my
question.
objection.
Now you testified, I'm sorry, after you confronted Arielle about this affair, you wanted her to meet your physical needs, correct?
Ooh, is this coming
I
in?
wouldn't characterize it like that.
You wouldn't characterize it as Arielle being unwilling to meet your physical needs, would you?
I would characterize that I was in a relationship with Arielle for 8 years, and we had a physical relationship, and I had physical needs as part of that physical relationship prior to me finding out about the affair, and I had physical needs after the affair as well.
And she's a regular. We're talking about sex here, right, doctor?
No, I'm talking about physical intimacy with the person that I love the most, which includes sexual and non-sexual intimacy.
You believe that Arielle should meet your sexual needs after you confronted her about this affair, correct?
No.
You don't believe
Your
that?
Honor, can we approach?
So the judge ruled that. So I think what the state isn't going to say is that he threatened to tell this, the coercive part, but him demanding physical intimate, or him not being okay with them not being physically intimate. The judge hasn't made a ruling on that, and the defense is probably mad about this.
Dr. Konig, after you confronted Arielle, you needed her to meet your sexual needs, correct?
No.
That's your testimony today.
Yes.
Arielle stopped having sex with you on December 24th, 2024, correct?
The last time that Arielle and I had sex was on December 24th, 2024. We did not have sex after that, and we both decided not to have sex after that.
You're upset that she wouldn't have sex with you, right?
That is not true.
When Arielle didn't have sex with you, you believe she was withdrawing from the relationship. Isn't that right?
That's not true.
Arielle didn't want to have sex with you anymore. Isn't that right?
That's not true.
Let's call her
Arielle
that.
was unwilling to quit her job, right?
She was willing to quit her job initially, and then later she was unwilling to quit her job. That's correct.
Arielle was unwilling to give up her privacy to you forever, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Arielle was unwilling to move out of the house and away from her children, correct?
Yes.
Arielle was unwilling to have sex with you whenever you demanded it. Isn't that right?
Can you ask the question again?
Arielle was unwilling to have sex with you whenever you demanded it. Isn't that right?
I never demanded sex, so that's not right.
Can that open?
Now, you were
I don't know
46
that-
years old at the time this was happening, right?
That's correct.
And after you call a woman a lying bitch and a whore, it makes sense that they don't want to have sex with you, right?
Yes.
Argument in it, Your Honor.
I mean, the answer is yes.
You still wanted Arielle to have sex with you after you called her a lying bitch, right?
We had sex in December, and that was after we had that conversation. Yes.
You were upset that Arielle was still talking to Gianna about you, right?
No.
You testified yesterday that you were upset that Gianna called you a monster, right?
I was upset. Well, that made me suspicious of how Ari was characterizing both the affair and our relationship at the time to Gianna.
And this is after you wanted to have Arielle move out of the house away from her kid, right?
Actually, this was during. At the time that she made that comment, we were in an argument where I was asking her to move out.
At the time she made that comment. Is this the argument you mentioned on December 26, 2024?
Yes.
Okay.
That went into December 27th.
The argument went into December 27th?
Yes.
Okay. So this argument happens. You're still mad, right?
And again, I wouldn't characterize my emotion as mad. Whenever we talked, I was certainly upset, but not mad.
This argument where Arielle told you that Gianna called you a monster, this is after you told her to quit her job, right?
I asked her to quit her job. I didn't tell her to quit her job. I asked her to quit her job as part of us healing from the affair at the beginning of December. I actually didn't ask her to quit her job at any point in time after that. I had asked her to give me updates on how the job search is going, but only in like probably the first couple weeks of December. And then we never talked about it again. Like it was obvious that she wasn't looking for a job anymore. And at that point in time, we were discussing other things in the relationship. So the last time I had asked her to quit her job to help us heal from the affair was in the beginning of December.
So your testimony today is you just let this go? You just let this go about her job?
He did not.
No, I did not. I did not let it go.
I know. He did not let anything go.
Put a pin in it, basically. I put that issue on hold while we were dealing with other things in the relationship.
We'll go back in time a little bit, Dr. Konig, back to early December. You looked up somebody called Andrea Miller on LinkedIn. Is that right?
That's right.
LinkedIn is a social media site used for professional networking. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you need a specific type of account or access to a type of account to find out the email for another person, correct?
I don't use LinkedIn very often. So I'm not sure, whose email addresses you have access to and whose you don't, without certain features of the program.
Well, on December 5th, 2024, you actually purchased what's called a Sales Navigator Core account on LinkedIn. Is that right?
Yes, I signed up for a free trial of that feature of the LinkedIn account, specifically to get access to Andrea Miller's email account or email address.
So you signed up to find Andrea Miller's email address,
Yes,
right?
I did.
And you found her email address, correct?
Yes.
And on December 6th, 2024, at 8:24 a.m. Hawaii time, you sent an email to Andrea Miller, correct?
I don't remember the exact date or time, but that sounds right. And yes, I did email her.
Okay, we'll put States Exhibit 108 already in evidence up onto the screen. This is the email you sent to Andrea Miller, correct?
That's correct.
You sent it on December 6th, 2024 at 8:24 a.m. Is that right?
So for anyone that has not seen this one, this email says, "Hi, Andrea. I'm very sorry to contact you, but I don't know what else to do. I would want you to do the same for me, even though I don't know you. Your husband, Jeff, and my wife," oh gosh, I hate to share this one. I'm sorry. Because they have people's like phone numbers and stuff. The good thing, Arielle's phone number has been changed. So she probably doesn't have that phone number anymore. But he's giving out his wife's email address and phone number to like what? And he calls it an inappropriate relationship. He doesn't call it an affair. He says they've been having an inappropriate relationship. That's what he says in this email.
That's right.
And the address too is the email address that you found from Andrea Miller from LinkedIn, correct?
Yes.
Who is this?
That's her work email address, right?
I don't know.
Kyndryl is a financial services company, correct?
I don't know.
In that email, you testified yesterday that the purpose of this email was simply to let Miss Miller know what's happening. Is that right?
That's correct.
It was to shame
And
his
at
wife.
the start of this email, that's what you do, right? You tell her about what you think about Jeff and Arielle, and you call it an inappropriate relationship, right?
That's what it was.
Yes, that's how I describe it.
You didn't call it an affair, right?
I did not.
You didn't call it an emotional affair, right?
I did not.
You just called it inappropriate relationship.
'Cause that's what
That's right.
And then you provided her your phone number, is that right?
Yes.
You provided her your email, correct?
Yes.
And those are your contact information, so you're free to provide those things, right?
Yes.
So.
And then you provided her with Arielle's phone number and email, correct?
That's correct.
You provided her with Arielle's cell number, is that right?
That's right.
And Arielle's personal email, correct?
Yes.
You provided that because you wanted Andrea Miller to contact Arielle, didn't you?
I just wanted her to have the option of contacting all of us and talking to all of us and getting all of the information from as many people as possible so she could make a decision about what she wanted to do with this information with her family.
The only purpose for including Arielle's contact information is so that she can contact Arielle, isn't that right?
That's right.
And you wanted Andrea Miller to contact Arielle to yell at her, right?
That's not true.
You wanted Andrea Miller to contact Arielle
Shame
to
her.
humiliate and punish Arielle, isn't that right?
That is absolutely not true.
He's smiling.
You offered Andrea Miller the text messages, correct?
I did. All right. I don't know if I did or not. I don't think I offered it to her. I just said I
You
just
said, I can share with you what
oh
I
yeah, I
have
can
if
share
you
with
would
you.
like,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes, I did.
You also sent Miss Miller a contact request through LinkedIn directly, correct?
That's correct.
Andrea Miller never replied to your emails, isn't that right?
That's right.
I
Andrea
would.
Miller never replied to you on LinkedIn, isn't that right?
That's right.
I wouldn't have. So she did the appropriate thing. If I got a email like that, I would have a conversation with my husband. And if I felt that my husband was fully upfront and he admitted, yeah, but and so my husband wouldn't, I'm the social person, my husband is not. And I've told y'all, I make sure to have good boundaries because I'm a friendly social person. Prior to being married, I could have been described as flirty. And so I had to turn that down in relationship and marriage. And so I have very good boundaries with people. I mentioned to you all, I do have male friends, and just in my relationship, what works is if one of my male friends and we don't like, I talk to them like once or twice a year, like, and it's normally a text message, just like a hey. And they're normally the ones that message me, or if I message them, it would be to invite them to our kid's birthday party or to try to get together with my friend and their wife and their kids for like a play date or something. Like it's not just a hey, do you want to talk? Like I personally don't have people in so I am heterosexual, so I don't have opposite sex friends that I talk to like that. And it's out of respect for my marriage. There are people that have open marriages and open relationships where they don't mind and they do ethical non-monogamy. And if my hands bother you, and most people in the comments here probably wouldn't say anything. I'm a very expressive person. Hi, I'm Dr. Barry. I have a speech impediment and a learning disability. So if you are new to my channel, welcome. I also have ADHD. And so I am just a very expressive person. You will see me with my Nido. So my hands would be really all over the place if I didn't have this. All right. So we are going to keep this going. It's painful. No. Thanks.
On December 12th, I'm going to take the exhibit down. On December 12th, 2024, you ordered the first of a several series of audiobooks about affairs, correct?
I don't remember the exact date, but that sounds right.
The first book you ordered was called The State of Affairs, is that right?
That's right.
And as it states in the title, it's a book about having affairs, correct?
Yes.
2 days later, on December 14th, 2024, at 10:45 p.m., you opened a PDF file on your computer from your prior divorce proceedings, is that right?
I have no recollection of that.
Yes.
We're going to publish dates
Oh,
113.
I have no
Guardian
recollection of
Evidence.
that.
Now, you, on December 14th, 2024, opened up a PDF file called Bank of America Amex E-Statement 2015-12-24.pdf, right?
I have no recollection of this.
You have no recollection.
Mhm.
All right, well, let's zoom in on the photo.
Which part?
The file system access date and time document was December 14th, 2024 at 10:45 p.m., correct?
I can see that. Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Let's go to the file path, Dr. Konig. This is under the username G Konig, correct?
Yes.
That's your username, right?
Yes.
Your files are contained under that username. Is that right?
Yes.
The next folder is the Dropbox folder. Is that right?
That's correct.
You use Dropbox, correct?
I do.
You have a Dropbox that has subfolders in it, correct?
Yes.
The next subfolder is called JPR. Is that right?
That's correct.
That's a subfolder that you created, correct?
Yes.
That's a subfolder that means Jessica Patella Ray. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
His wife.
And under Miss Ray's subfolder, Miss Patella Ray's subfolder, you have a separate subfolder called Divorce. Isn't that right?
Yes, I created that.
You made that folder, correct?
Yes.
And in that folder, there's another folder, right?
Yes.
That's for 2016-04 hearing. Isn't that right?
That's right.
This is a hearing about your divorce from April 2016, correct?
Yes.
And the last subfolder is supportive documents. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And in that supportive documents folder, the supportive documents are for this April 2016 hearing, correct?
Right.
These are the documents that you want to bring to your divorce hearing, right?
Yeah.
And
It was a long time ago, but that was probably all the supporting documents that my lawyer needed for that hearing. And this was a Bank of America Amex statement from 10 years prior. So I have no recollection of looking at a Bank of America Amex statement from 10 years prior on this date. I don't remember doing that.
You don't remember at all.
Mm. And I mean, it says file system last access. I don't know if that gets triggered if like a file is copied or something like that, because I was looking through the documents when they were presented into evidence earlier in the week, and there were a few that I did not recall access.
So I think he thinks that makes him look bad. And he's not a very good liar. And y'all have mentioned that in the comments. I'm not saying he's lying. I'm saying there seem to be a lot of signs of deception. I try to be nice. I try to be kind. Okay. I try to practice what I preach here. He's trying to control the narrative. Exactly. But the more he tries to control it, the worse it gets for me. And he comes across less credible. It comes across less credible. And so I'm going to let him keep going for another few minutes.
Accessing on those times. Many I do recall accessing.
But this one
But
about divorce, you're saying you don't.
I don't recollect accessing that. No.
Now, on December 14th,
And I can't think of a reason why I would have.
you can't, there's no reasonable reason for you to be accessing this. Is that right?
I can't think of a reason why I was looking at a Amex statement from 10 years prior on December 14th, 2024.
This is a document that you needed to prepare for your prior divorce, correct?
Correct.
This is in the middle of December 2024, correct?
That this document was accessed?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, the very next day, we'll take this one down. I'm going to go chronologically. The very next day, on December 15th, 2024, at 8:17 a.m., you viewed a January 2022 pay stub for your wife, Arielle Konig. Is that correct?
I don't recall that, but that sounds more plausible that I had done that. But I don't specifically recall that date and looking at that document.
We'll publish dates 125. This is the metadata, correct?
I wonder if he was trying to calculate how much alimony and child support he would have to pay. Why would he have access to that? So I think he handled a lot of the finances, but maybe he might have known all of her passwords. I don't know. I don't know why he would be able, or maybe they're mailed to the house. Because I know I worked a job where pay stubs were mailed to the house. I don't know why. I'm going live with Paul, and we're gonna chat about all of this, and then we are going to catch up because court is currently on break, and then we are going to catch up with live court. So I'm going to be live with Paul in about 9 minutes. Super excited. Can't wait. You feel free to enjoy your day. If you are done for today, I'm super excited. If you don't know Paul, reporting live from my sofa, recovering. Good gosh. I was on Recovery Addict. I was in the chat with Recovery Addict earlier today. And so that's why recovering is on my mind. But reporting live from my sofa, we will be doing that a little bit later today. I need to go feed my kiddo. We will continue to talk a little bit later. I will see y'all in about 8 minutes. Have a good one. Bye.